Good day all, and welcome to my second review video for Doctor Who Series 10. This week we're looking at Smile, which in many ways is your typical second episode, which, let's be honest, they're often not the strongest episodes of the series. This is our second episode with Bill, and we pick up on the theme that we've seen in previous series where the Doctor lets the companion pick the first trip or destination or wherever the TARDIS is going, I guess in this case, against Nardol's recommendation. And in this case, we go to an off-world colony where we meet the Vardy. The Vardy are nanobots who communicate using emojis, which I guess is a statement on current times and how things might manifest in the future. To be honest, perhaps not the most original idea, but it does create kind of a sense of terror or dread when these potentially dangerous things can only communicate using smiley emojis and angry emojis, question marks, and all that kind of stuff. This actually harkens back to the Happiness Patrol, which was in the original series, season 25. You may remember this as being the episode with the Candyman, probably the strangest villain in Doctor Who history. I don't know, that episode kind of falls into the love it or hate it category. I kind of like the absurdism of the whole thing. But the idea is, if you're not happy, you die. And in this case, it's an emoji that's placed on your back that you can't actually see, so the robots or Vardy can see what your emotion is at any given time. Basically, because of the original colonists, after significant losses, the Vardy start to identify grief as being an illness, and their solution for eradicating this is to kill anyone that is showing any signs of anything other than being happy. I guess in some ways kind of an interesting idea, although I don't know if it pans out quite so well. I guess one positive thing is Nardole is barely in this episode, so I'm starting to wonder, is he just a mascot at this point? I'm hoping something at least semi-interesting is going to be done with this character later on in the series to justify him actually being there. As for the story itself, now this was written by Frank Cottrell Boyce. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is the same person that was responsible for In the Forest of the Night, which, let's be honest, is probably the weakest entry in series 8, and probably one of the weakest entries in the Capaldi era so far. Actually, probably a New Who period. So, knowing that this was going to be his second entry into Doctor Who, I really wasn't expecting much. I think mainly it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, so I guess that's kind of a positive, maybe. But the show itself, now the first little bit when they're setting everything up, there, with the sense of dread in the robots, I think that was effective. But unfortunately, as we're seeing repeatedly with Doctor Who, rather than come up with some kind of interesting and inventive resolution, we see a reset button. In this case, literally a reset button. Basically, the Doctor reprograms the Vardy. And basically making the whole story almost kind of redundant if resolving the whole issue was basically going to be this simple in the end. At this point, I would expect a little bit more from the program. Like I said, this is supposed to be the reboot of the show, and while last week's episode was... well, it wasn't bad. It was better than I'd expected. This one doesn't even hold up to that one. In terms of the Doctor, the characterization in this point was okay. It's still a mix of Series 8 and Series 9, 12th Doctor, which is okay. Bill, I like her better than Clara at this point. I like the fact that rather than some kind of all-important presence, at least in this instance, she's being positioned as just being a regular person. And I really hope that Moffat stays with this narrative rather than throwing some kind of twist. I know some people are speculating that maybe she's Susan's daughter or something like that. And to be honest, if that happens, I'm going to be pissed off. You've done that. Moffat has already done that. It doesn't need to be done again. We need to go back to someone that's just normal, which, to be honest, we haven't had, well, in at least 5 years. But even Amy, even though she was a normal person, she was still almost positioned as being, in some cases, above the Doctor. At some point I might even make a video about that, but that's for another time altogether. But good point. It's the fact that Nardole wasn't there. But one problem that I do have with the episode is I've mentioned in previous videos that, I don't know, myself, I'm getting just sick of the inclusion of current political ideologies. We'll put it that way. In this case, it was a throwaway line, but still within the realm of third wave feminism. And I think the overt social justice and feminism really needs to be just jettisoned from the program at this point. In this case, apparently food and food portions are sexist. No, it's not. And this line did not need to be there. So that's one of my big criticisms about the episode. I don't know if everyone else agrees with this, but to each his own, everyone is entitled to an opinion. But yeah, so shorter review this time. I'm going to try and keep these videos so they're not 15 or 20 minutes. But it was an average episode at best. Not the best choice for a second episode. I think the show really needed to up its game at this point. Last week, I think I gave the episode a 6. This time, I'm going to give it a 5. It's just, the initial idea wasn't bad, but the reset ending just completely lacked originality, and I think the show needs to do a lot better. I'm not saying this is sunk to the depths of last year's Christmas special, but at the same time, it's not much better. So, 5 out of 10. And that's it for this week. So, as always, everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.